Hi, today we're going to take a look at this art book for the works of Gustov Klimt. Art Nouveau and the Vienna Secessionists. I got this book quite a while ago because I was in Barnes & Noble and I was looking at their clearance section, and I love art books, but they're typically very expensive, so I only buy these on sale. And I remember really enjoying Klimt's works when I was around high school, specifically the Lovers painting. I love the usage of gold. It's just gold leaf, but I really like the style. It almost seems like the people are just put into the background that he had previously worked on. It's a matter of putting the people and making them fit into the work of art, which I think is so fascinating. I like the embossing. It's really cool. And the women, their faces, their hands, there was almost a delicate treatment of the subjects in the work. But let's continue looking, or let's start. Let's officially start. Okay, I think this was the one that I liked. I think in high school it was one of my favorite paintings because it was just so much what I envisioned love to be. Romantic love, of course, and just being fully enraptured by it and feeling cared for and held and safe and secure and just blissful. But yeah, if you look at the ladies, they're just, there's something about them. They're just like, even though the face here, even though her expression doesn't exactly look delicate, her hands and her wrists and her arms are, she may be reclining and sitting very casually, knees together, with a dress that's splayed out. But there's still something very elegant about it. So we have the different chapters. The introduction here. There's quite a bit here. The Black Duchess. Her line features etched in black. This looks almost modern. And we're talking about the let's see here. Talking about the late 1800s, 1897. So yeah, this was late 1890s. So time of change, which is so fascinating. Like, if you look at this, it looks so modern. Ver Sacrum. Was created as a live representation for a poem, specifically to appear in the Muse magazine. The publication was explicitly dedicated to the idea of Geishan Kunstwerk. I am not German. Her total work of art. Klimt's ladies were created to engage in an active dialogue between modern and ancient art. Time moves on, and with it, taste, aesthetic, beauty is at once eternal, and of its moment, universal, and yet at the same time, utterly of its place. The word secession is generally used when the section of a state breaks away and achieves its own autonomy, as the American South sought to do in 1861 at the outbreak of the Civil War, or as activists of various national groups such as the Magyars and Serbs tried to do in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 1890s. The goals these movements aimed for were never really attained, though the pressure they exerted did. By 1914 helped plunge Europe into a devastating conflict, and the First World War left behind it a continent in ruins, its political map redrawn, frontiers. Artistic visions. This book sets out to tell the story of the Vienna secessionists, not from a biographical point of view, but from the artistic perspective they surely would have wanted. Even so, telling their story presents something of a challenge, for the artists of the Vienna secession did not form a single school. They were individuals, many of whom worked in very different fields, and they certainly approached their work in very different ways. In acknowledging their uniqueness, however, we also have to recognize the extent to which they shared similar goals and priorities, not just with one another, but also with other young artists active internationally at the time. Modernism, music, and mortality. For modernist writers, music became emblematic of the inadequacy of artistic expression at the conscious level. Sound, symbol, and color communicated better than words could. So, precious metals. Although the connection between Ernst Klimt's skills as metalwork and those his son later showed in his art is obvious, it would be perverse just to ignore it. How many academically trained artists would have had the basic technical competence to create the effects Gustav did in his most famous works? It's perhaps more interesting to wonder whether a painter from a more middle-class background would have had Klimt's mental and emotional ability to break the aesthetic taboos of his time and incorporate the blue-collar skills of the craftsman into high artistic work. While in his earlier career, Klimt strained in aspiration to produce academic art, he quickly opened up his paintings to imagery and techniques derived from merely decorative fields, of which the establishment had always taken a condescending view. Inspirations. Vienna secessionists were influenced by artists from across Europe, the artists and craftspeople of many traditions. Good cities. Wow. That's beautiful, eh? It's interesting that the feel of this can differ so much if you just zoom into the face. It's kind of reading differently. feels very free and free-flowing and easy, but when you look at the faces, it's serious, it's severe. It's severe up in here. It's severe up in here. Just to kill the purity of classical art and architecture had always been held up as their justification. But what did they offer an age which sensed that the excitements of art as of life were likely to be impure? Such excitements were most obviously, although by no means solely, to be found in the area of sexuality. Even where it was ostensibly erotic, classical art was not completely convincing anymore. It's pretty much a cliche that clothing can be more erotically suggestive than bare flesh. The classical female nude, beautiful as she may be, is austere, even in her nakedness. She certainly seemed straight-laced beside the surging sexual allure of the women Klimt was painting. Studies in exoticism, in their sinuous postures, their spangled forms, and their gaudy gowns. Again, it's about the opposition between what is explicitly set out and what's only implicitly suggested, between appeals to the conscious, to the subconscious mind. For better or worse, Klimt's women are seldom subjects in their own right. What we see is inseparable from the way we see it. The backgrounds in these pictures don't know their place. Instead, they bundle up their subjects in a wider, more extravagant vision, so that they seem to evoke the imagery of a dream. Or, of course, a nightmare, for paradoxically, the more sumptuously and sensually Klimt represented the women in his paintings, the more we feel we're gazing into sexuality's deep, dark heart. Freud had yet to formulate his famous association between eros and agape, desire and the death wish, but Klimt was clearly onto it already. The art and the everyday. Zeitschrift der Vereinigung. No, I'm just kidding. I can't read that. Cycles perfecta. Cicles. Cicles perfecta. Cicle. Foreign forms. We have advertisements, which I guess explains the modern feel here. Some of it anyway. Art and literature for the secessionists. Art and literature were intertwined as twin forces of creativity in their changing world. I'm glad I got this. Now you think you have a handle on an artist or a work of art, and it's just when you learn more about it or the artists themselves, you kind of realize, oh wait, there's so much more going on here. There's so much more going on. German pride, German romance. So it's in the Redoute. I like these. I'm actually looking for art. Well, I will be looking for some art. I have too many things to do right now, but I've been looking to replace some art in my home, and though I do tend to like supporting smaller local artists, I do like the idea of having, you know, famous prints if they resonate with me. So some of these images I like very much. They can just inspire me in my own drawing, you know. Whenever I grab a pencil and start drawing like a person again. Let's see. Ice, fire, inspiration. Oh, there it is. Oh, so fascinating. Not sure if you can see this here, but it looks really cool. It's like a photo mixed media collage. That's cool. It reminds me of someone's art who happens to be an ASMR artist. I may or may not link her channel here. So here's the kiss, right? The kiss. One-sided embrace. It's been suggested that Emily Floch is the woman in the kiss, which for many art lovers would make her the ultimate Klimtian woman. It's been further suggested, far from conclusively, but by no means unconvincingly, that this picture also has a literary theme. Whether it does indeed show Emily or not, the situation in the picture bears obvious similarities to that of Daphne in ancient myth. The Latin poet Ovid relates the story of Daphne in his Metamorphoses, an epic celebrating shape-shifting, boundary-breaking, and transformation of every kind. Seeing the beautiful Naid, or water nymph the sun god Apollo fell in love with and pursued her, Daphne fled through the fields and woods, but was finally caught. Although she called on her father, the god of the nearby river, to save her, he was only able to turn her into a laurel tree, where she stood. The laurel tree was thenceforth sacred to Apollo. Its leaves were fashioned into garlands to crown its champions in poetry and sports. In his remorse, the sun god made the laurel tree an evergreen, an eternal symbol of beauty and youth, Daphne herself having given up, if not her life, then her essential nature in the name of chastity, became an emblem of heroic maidenhood. It was only natural then that Petrarch should have made repeated use of the story in his poetry, that the laurel share a name with that of his beloved Laura, only added to the appeal. Viewed from this perspective, the profound ambiguity in Klimt's most celebrated painting becomes apparent. The poetic references aren't especially prominent, but they are there. While the masterful male figure wears a circlet of leaves on his head, more leaves may be seen before her feet, while her tight-fitting dress seems to take on the wavy pattern and texture of tree bark. Her swooning, kneeling posture thus becomes more questionable than it might at first appear. She melting in desire, fading into lifelessness, or both? To show us her lovely face, moreover, she has to have it turned away from her lovers. she isn't actually a participant in this famous kiss, which is interesting because, as I mentioned, when I first saw this, I thought very much differently about it. It was lovely to me. She's holding his hand and she's, gently resting on his other hand. She doesn't seem like she's not accepting of his kiss with her body language. Which doesn't, if this is the case, is not exactly a positive image that she had been chaste and did not want this man. I can't say that I wouldn't still find beauty in that, though. Like, I think when it comes to art pieces, we can find what we will in it. Obviously, we can find beauty in some ways or other stories. It's kind of why one of my favorite paintings was the Nighthawks, because it looks like there are so many different stories in there just waiting to be interpreted. This is a big book, you guys, as art books typically are. There's like not so positive body language. Let's see. Culture shock, the irritated feeling conservatives had that young writers and artists were simply out to shock. Being new and different for the sake of it was by no means altogether without foundation. The old forms had indeed come to seem exhausted to them. There did indeed seem to be a need for art to drill the public out of the complacency that too long-standing a familiarity with the same conventions is bound to bring. Modern energy. This made perfect sense given the insights of Machenbauer, the people of the age, in its sense that the tea was being constantly reinvented was ever new. Oh, wow. Writing. Structures of the self. Structures of the self. Theories from to architecture and interior design. Working model as eloquently as he had expressed the most problematic preoccupations of his times, Hugo von Hofmannsthal erred in suggesting that modern means old furnishings and young nervousness. A nicely turned phrase, no doubt, and he was definitely right about the young nervousness. But successionist designers were coming up with innovations in furniture and fittings of every sort. Nothing was beneath the attention of a talent like Joseph Hoffmann's, which concerned itself not just with spires and staircases, but also with cutlery, flower holders, bathroom mosaics, and kitchen chairs. They created clothing too. Community art. Music and meaning. Given all the ways in which the other arts were starting to impinge on everyday existence, ideas of the different media and genres as pure and self-contained were fast retreating. Art and literature were both affected. Poetry, as the word lyric reminds us, had its origins been associated with music in the form of song. But so too now in the understanding of the fin de siècle intellectual and aesthete, was artistic creativity in general, all art. The school of Georgian and the Renaissance constantly aspires toward the condition of music. Why should this be? Why should the visual arts, with their ability to show in writing and poetry, with their ability to use words, to tell and make communications with real meanings, find themselves envying the articulacy of music? Could it be because that very lack of a communicable message or meaning enables music to bypass our conscious thinking mind and speak directly to our emotions, to our psyche, to our soul? Perhaps. I hope you are enjoying these images here, and that there's some ASMR elements that you are enjoying. Ooh, some of these are really creepy with the eyes. The eyes have it. Patterns and repetition. This would be a really nice painting to attempt. When I paint, well, the few times I've painted in my life is very free form, and I would enjoy doing something like that. I should probably try. Let's see here. Sacred Spring. No, but that's interesting. The interconnectedness with music, art, poetry, or writings. You know, not one particular art form can fully give an experience in the way that like a combination can do. I think that's why I love film so much, is it's not just the acting that you're looking at, it's the writing that came before it. It's the music that was composed, that was catered to a scene, the sound effects, you know, on top of the actors' voices and, you know, actions. But yeah, art is such a rich gift we've been given. There's a richness to it, and it's a richness that can be experienced by anybody, regardless of even language. I mean, this is clearly German, you know, from a German artist, but we can find things that we can relate to, or again, things that resonate with us. Even if things be translated into our language that we speak, although things are not perfectly able to be translated at all times, we can still find meaning in that. Our own takeaways from a piece of music or writing, words, modernist mingling. Evolutionary change. So these are their sacrum. I believe I have some advertising books. And these remind me of them. At one time I wanted to be a graphic designer, which was hilarious. It's a decorative panel. Metal. Very nice. I don't know if you can see that very well. Hopefully. I'm gonna have to get out my art books. I feel like I have more than me. Like, I feel like I have so many, and I wanted to do them at one point, but I was a little apprehensive about that. Oh goodness. So scary, the faces. Jeez. All the world's a stage, I guess. Early 1900s. Gustov Klimt and the Beethoven frieze. The majesty, power, and radical invention of Klimt's masterpiece is the quintessential work of secession. I think I'm just gonna buy a bunch of art with women in it. It's a bunch of women. What's that? Oh goodness, fascinating. Hey, look at that. Let's see. Wow. Music man. Oh, here we got some shady stuff going on here. A Platonic lament from Salome. The only Salome I can think of right now is a song. Oh, that's cool. I can't quite do that. Just making a rough sketch and have it look like a portrait. Champion of beauty, disease, and deadly sins. We have more lovers, perhaps, tied together at the legs and ankles, which is interesting. Quite a kiss, the kiss to the whole world. Longing and fulfillment. Sorrow and poetry, longing and fulfillment. Quite a kiss. Detail, existence. A sway and inspiration, enjoyment, learning, and its to some extent covered by the flowing hair, or those rather gross souls rising up to the artistic heaven. The answer is someone much more mindful and the column forms of healing and university philosophy seen. I think it will be rising to heaven, given that beyond the ranks of angelic God and man, Christians and pagans, work of redemption, dusk, dawn, and dusk, dawn, and death. Exhibitions. Vienna secessionists celebrated exciting and innovative art from all around the world through their exhibitions. We'll get to a picture that I really enjoy and would want in my home. Perhaps. Art without paintings. Art without paintings. Art without paintings. That looks so cool. Place for women. Women, too, were creating opportunities for themselves in the secessionist ferment. That would be an exaggeration to suggest that any great breakthrough for equality was made. Radical as it may have been, the secession was by no means revolutionary in any wider sense. I've already seen that it was in many ways quite conservative, indeed with a wary eye on the realities of an art market that was inherently respectable and bourgeois, however open-minded Klimt and the others were training it to be. The secession's success and its sexism arguably even helped tamp down the acclaim already earned by the Vienna-based Russian sculptor Teresa Riles, by now an international celebrity. But other women like Elena Luch-Makovsky and Brantia Koller-Pinel undoubtedly gained a great deal from the opportunity to exhibit among their artistic peers. So I think that says the Stocklet Frieze fulfillment. I don't know that I like this one compared to the Kiss. It's not gentle, not as gentle. And he is, what is the term? It's like covering her, like a blanket. But maybe it's my own memory of hugs. Maybe it's my own memory of embraces that I've shared like that, where maybe I felt a little claustrophobic or swallowed. Swallowed a bit. It's interesting how we take parts of ourselves and incorporate it into art. Our experience, what we take from it, what we enjoy about it, what we don't, what it inspires in us. That's kind of interesting. I like that. Just floating above the pond or the river, like mountains in the background. They're just incorporated there, laying as still as the mountains. We have a snake charmer. A window on the world. See, that's still so fascinating to me, this style of just, it looks like a picture, a photo that is made into this collage. Like her picture was just put in there, and or maybe it began with her, like a photo of her, and then just pieces of gold or whatever just tacked on. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That's reminiscent of the Venus de Milo, right? This really interesting art style. Very interesting. Just so fascinating. This book is so rich in like the different stylings, and it's just so cool. Philosophical something. Philosophical something. I do appreciate that in some older works of art that women, especially of various shapes and sizes, body types, shall we say. I hate when people say shapes and sizes, because it's like, well, makes us seem like we're things. But when, like I said, women especially, various body types, figures, when they are represented in art in such a way that is beautiful. And to me, that says that if people can put such people on paintings, in sculpture, with woodworking, metalworking, that's art, then why can't we look at ourselves as art too? I mean, art isn't always perfect. Art doesn't always make sense, but art is art, and it's respected as such. And it's a shame that we don't really consider ourselves to be living works of art. I think in my channel description, my header is "Your life is a work of art." I can't remember exactly what it says, but something to that effect, that, you know, your life is a work of art. And I think if we held on to that kind of thought or belief, or just held on to that kind of view, that maybe we would make better choices every day. We'd be more thoughtful, conscientious before we speak, before we do. Bonaparte, Pierre for Bonaparte. I cannot get mad at a lady's outfit when it is all black and the hat game is on point. Yes, please. Yes, please. Start wearing hats. Secession. Unholy seduction. Forget the historical details. The Book of Judas. Seemingly uncertain as to whether Israelis Israel's attackers originated in Syria or Babylon. Mankind or manhood is arguably the real victim in one of those ancient texts. The Dutchman and the Dancer. The Dutchman and the Dancer. Oh, wow, what is this? Oh, I don't know if you can see this. I know you can see this, because I can. I know you can see that. I wonder if you can see this as well. Very well. It's pretty fascinating, too. So here's a pregnant woman, but there is a cascading group of ladies coming from underneath her robe. Beginning of the end. Beginning of the end. Back to the start. That's beautiful, I think. It looks like her hair is turned into golden. Like there are golden accents to the hair. I think there are two female bodies. Yeah, she's embracing what I think is... Oh, wait a minute. Where's the other arm of the person? I don't know. It's a bit hard to discern what that is. Secession summation. When all said and done, it may well be pointless to look at the Vienna secession for the features of a school, for a consistent set of techniques or even aims, but what set these artists apart from each other in many ways mattered much more than what brought them together. They held few theories in common and could hardly have been more diverse in their work, but the one great general principle that they did share was all important. Art, they felt, was first of all important, and second, indivisible. There were to be no boundaries between painting, sculpture, interior design, metalwork, or jewelry making, or between this more widely defined world of art and that of life. This belief, although making the secessionist contribution maddeningly difficult to pin down at times, is also what makes their work so central to the development of modern art. It's very beautiful. I don't think it's the first time he painted her, but it was, I think, most definitely the last time. It's beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. feel like when I look at some of these in his golden period that there's a loveliness here, and I think I mentioned gentleness before, but it's like almost loving, like a loving feeling. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey through some of these works here. My bunny did take a bite of this book, but I don't think you could tell, could you? So I will be hopefully, I don't know why I did this, recording more videos that are enjoyable to not only myself for doing these and relaxing for myself for doing these, but certainly for you. I hope that you get something positive out of these videos, even if it's just some nice background noise to relax to. Or maybe you get inspired to do things with your own art, or taking a stroll at your local art galleries. So, thank you once again. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I will see you next time.